All right, so let's look at the costs of not doing check-ins with your team members. So I have a story I like to share with people when I teach them about doing check-ins and why they're important. The story comes from a guy who I met at a business event a few months ago, and I think it really hits home the importance of doing regular check-ins with your employees. So this person is an entrepreneur, has started multiple companies, but he had a company where he had 5 executive level individuals hired, and of course many people beneath them. And as far as he was concerned, everyone on the executive team was doing very well. And then one day, seemingly out of the blue, someone from the executive team said, "Hey, me and a few of the other executives would like to have dinner with you on this date. Like, would you want to meet us for dinner?" And he says, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So he goes out to have dinner with his executives, and all of them but one are there. They basically laid it on the table of, you need to fire this one other executive because we have had it working with them, and if you don't, we are all going to quit. Now, this completely caught him by surprise. He didn't know about any of the issues that any of these people were having. He didn't know it had gotten to the point to where they were ready to walk out. He didn't know why the problems were occurring or what they even were. So his team essentially gave him an ultimatum of, you let go of this one person or you're going to lose us 80% of your executive team all at once. So this supervisor didn't let go of the problem person. He instead transferred them to a different department, which some time then passed, and he saw that this person was making a bunch of issues for this department. Now that he had been told what the issues were, he was looking for it more regularly, and now he started to see it, which meant that this problem person was not only causing issues for this new department, but because he transferred her as opposed to firing her, 3 of the executives who were at that dinner with him ended up leaving because he did not fire this person like they told him he needed to. So as he was telling me about the story, he was telling me about all the frustrations and said that end of the day, it probably cost him about $250,000 when it comes to personnel. $250,000 it cost him because he did not have a good relationship with each of those individuals. Now, when I told him that this issue could have been avoided if he had had a good relationship with them, he came back with the argument, well, I did have a good relationship with them. I handpick each and every one of them. We meet every once in a while. We get along great, like we have good relationships. However, what he was missing was that if he had had good relationships with those individuals and they had felt safe to share their opinions, they had felt that they had grounds to give feedback about the rest of the team members, if he had been having check-ins with them every single week so he could constantly keep his finger on the pulse of the company to see where it was strong and where it was starting to flutter, he would have known about this issue ages ago. Instead, none of those employees felt safe enough to share this information with him, so they held on to it. They clearly coordinated with each other, so they were probably talking with each other about their frustrations, and it built up and it built up and it built up to the point to where they were all literally willing to walk out. And then they told him about it. Let's say 6 months prior, had he have started doing regular check-ins, they probably would have told him one by one, yeah, this person's a problem because they do this. Yeah, I don't like working with this person because they do this. Yeah, this team's suffering because this person's doing this. And he would have known about these issues before it got to the tipping point and he was put in that ultimatum situation. He could have started addressing it with that person by either having them change what they're doing at work or by letting go of them and finding someone else who better fit into the team culture. Either way, not knowing about it because he wasn't doing those check-ins and didn't have that solid relationship with his employees cost him and his company significantly. And again, a check-in is just a 15-minute conversation a week. With 4 people, it would have been an hour total. 1 hour a week to check in and see how things are going would have saved you $250,000 up front, and who even knows what the long-term costs of that issue ended up being. But I think it reflects so accurately what I see in a lot of other supervisors. They think, oh hey, when I pass this person, we can have pleasant banter. I say, hey, how are you doing today? They'll say, oh good, I just got a dog. Or when we're in line waiting to fill up our coffee mugs, we can have a small little chit chat and say, how's your kid doing? How's the house hunting process doing? Oh, you got a new car. How's that working out for you? And if we can have those small interactions, that means that we have a good relationship. And that must mean that they're willing to come and tell me any concerns or issues that they're experiencing. And this is really common to what I see a lot of supervisors doing. If your team is going through struggles, it is not their job to come and tell you. It is your job to go to them and find out. Do the check-ins because that gives you the opportunity to identify where the problems are, what they are, and how you can fix them. And again, the more you do the check-ins, the more comfortable your team members will be with you. Maybe it gets to the point to where they're not going to wait until your weekly check-in before they text you, hey, FYI, I was just in this meeting with Ted, and he was saying and doing some things that were kind of concerning to me. You get that input right away, and you can address it immediately, as opposed to not knowing about it and letting it fester for 9 months until someone's ready to walk off the job. But I really cannot stress this enough. If you want to keep your employees and you want them to do a good job, you need to do these check-ins. 15 minutes a week for each individual person. You ask them 3 questions. How's your life balance going? In the last week, what could I have done better to support you? Moving forward to the next week, what can I do to help make you more successful? Those 3 questions are basically all you're going to say in the conversation. The rest is just you listening to them. Ask a question, they talk 5 minutes. Ask a question, they talk 5 minutes. Ask a question, they talk 5 minutes. And then at the end of that meeting, you are going to decide how you are going to address what they shared with you. How are you going to follow up? How are you going to act? How are you going to show them that you not only listened to what they said, but you valued it so much that you took action based off of it? That is what will determine how comfortable they are with you. That is what will determine if you're going to have a good relationship with your team or if it's going to be a crappy one. That will determine if your team is going to be successful or not. Have those check-ins.